name is Jessie. I hope you're all staying safe and healthy out there. Today we're going to be painting this called the Evening Walk painting. So if there's anything about this painting that you guys don't like, if there's any colors you want to change, feel free to do so. This is your painting, guys. So that being said, we've got a few supplies here to go over. We should have some paint here. We're going to be using all of the colors except brown. So we've got yellow, blue, green, black, red, white, and orange. We've also got this brush roll of 4 brushes. So you guys should have the large flat brush, the medium flat brush, the medium round, and the tiny detail brush. I'll be telling you which ones we're going to be using for all of the steps here. We've also got this water cup that you guys are going to be using for whenever you're not using any of the brushes, just set them in there. It's also great for washing off your brushes in between colors. Lastly, you've got this handy dandy little rag that's going to be used to dry your brushes whenever you are changing a color, or whenever you're done using your brushes. So that being said, guys, since this is a video, anytime you want to pause or if you need to let your paint dry, just pause the video, take a break, and then whenever you're ready to start painting again, you can just unpause the video. Alright guys, so our first step is going to be to paint this sky here. Now we want to do it all kind of in a couple steps just because we want to make this a wet blend so it blends really nicely, so it looks like a nice sunset gradient or sunrise, if you will. So for this, I'm going to be starting with the purple here. So I've got my large flat brush, and what I'm going to do is mix red and blue directly on my canvas to get a nice dark purple color. Now you can vary your shade of purple by adding either more red to make it a more kind of a rosy purple, or more blue to make it a more like a blue violet. And that is up to you guys, and you can feel free to vary the colors within your sky as well. So once you've got the color that you like, you can just start applying it to your canvas. Now I'm going to do this color for about the top third of our painting. So I'm just going to keep applying that paint. And if you want to take your paint a little bit farther, you can just add a little bit of water to your paint. And that'll make it spread a lot more. I'm just going to keep applying it here. And while you're doing this, guys, like I said, you can add maybe some streaks of blue in there to add some variation to your sky, maybe some streaks of red. It is totally up to you how you want to make your sky here. So I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to mix some more color here. And again, just the top third is what we're going to be going down to here, and then we'll be switching colors. Okay guys, so now that we've got our purple here on our sky, we want to switch to kind of this pink in between color that'll help us transition from purple to orange. Purple and orange don't really mix that well, so having that pink transition color in there really helps to kind of blend it all together. So that being said, I'm going to wash my brush off. Dry just a little bit, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix red and white on my palette here. Then we're just going to apply it directly underneath that purple. Now, you see, just like this, it's kind of a harsh kind of transition, so we want to go over where those colors meet, go back and forth, blend a little bit down, and then go and blend a little bit upwards, so that those colors really kind of overlap each other really nicely. It also helps to have a little bit of water in your paint to help them blend. So we've got that color there. I'm going to go wash off my brush again, get some more of that pink to kind of bring that transition down a little bit more. So now we've got our purple to pink transition. And now I'm going to go ahead and mix some of this orange here. You don't really have to wash off your brush because the pinks and the oranges go well really together. They blend super nicely. So I'm just going to go right ahead, mix some orange and white together on my palette. And I go right ahead Apply that to my canvas. Again, to blend them really well, you want to go kind of where those colors overlap, blend a little bit down, blend a little bit upwards. And then you have a nice transition. And so lastly, we're just going to bring this color, this orange, down to about the last third of our painting here, and then we'll stop. So I'm just going to grab some more orange and white. And if you want, feel free to mix a little bit of yellow in there. If you want a more sunshiny kind of orange there. And then I'm just going to apply that to my canvas until I get to about the bottom third of our painting. Now when it comes to blending, you guys don't have to make sure that everything is perfectly blended, because just as a sky has different variations of color, you want your painting to kind of have a little variety to the kind of strokes that you're using. So I don't have to blend it all perfectly together. I can leave some parts a little streaky. And it doesn't have to be a straight line, guys. And if you're finding that your painting doesn't look like the original, don't worry. You know, everyone has different painting styles because we're all different people, so we're all gonna, you know, end up with different things, and that's the way it should be. So guys, at this point we want to take a break so we can let our paintings dry. We've got this beautiful sky here. We want to start on our horizon line next as soon as this dries. So feel free to pause this video, wait for your paint to dry, and then unpause it when you're ready to start again. So once we've got the sky in there and it's all nice and dry, we want to move on to the grass in the ground there at the end of the horizon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep using my my large flat brush. And I'm going to mix together blue, green, and some black to get a dark green to start off this horizon. So I'm mixing that directly on my palette. So that's blue, green, and there's a little bit of black. A little bit of black goes a long way, so I would be careful with it to make sure you're only adding a little bit at a time so you don't get it too dark. But so once I've got the color that I like, I'm just going to start by creating a line across my horizon, making sure that I cover all of that white space that I would have had underneath the sky. And then I'll start going down with this color. And once you go down a little bit, what we're gonna do is we're gonna switch colors. So I'm not gonna wash my brush off because you don't really need to. We're just gonna dip into straight green. So I'm just gonna grab some green here and then mix that right on my canvas. Using that same blending technique where you kind of overlap where the colors meet, blend a little bit down, and then blend upwards. So we've got that. Now I'm going to grab some more green here, pull that down a little bit. And then lastly, I'm going to grab some yellow and mix that with my green to get a lighter green, and then we're just going to cover the rest of the bottom of our ground with that color. Now this one, yellow, is always a little bit harder to blend, so I would make sure you do it before the paint dries so that you can blend it into that green directly above it. And then blending down and then upwards. So there you have your ground. We want to wait for this to dry before we start adding in the details like our road, our mountains, and all of that other stuff. So we want to take about another 10-minute break so you guys can pause this video, let it dry, and then come back and unpause it whenever you're ready to start again. going to start to put in this road here that kind of zigzags onto our canvas. So this one we're going to use a combination of our detail brush and our small round brush. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my detail brush, and I'm going to mix up some white and black to get a kind of a medium gray here. So I've got my gray, my detail brush, and we're going to start somewhere on our horizon line a little bit over to the left side of our painting. I'm going to pick a point where I want this to start. Do it right about there. And then we're just going to make it kind of S-curve to make our road look a little winding as it comes towards us. So I'll just kind of do that. And then this is a little bit of just a sketch. So once I have done that, fix it up a little bit. And then what I'll do is I'll switch to my round brush, get that same color. And then I'll start to make the road a little bit thicker as I approach the front of where the road is kind of like coming towards us. So everything is always going to be smaller in the background and bigger in the foreground. So I'll just start to thicken that road up as it comes forward. And that way I can kind of adjust where my road is to kind of fit what I want. And I'll just make it really wide as it comes off the canvas right there. Now to add just a little bit of dimension here, I'm going to darken it up towards the front and then lighten it towards the back. So what I'll do is add just a little bit more black to my gray to start. And I'll just add this into the beginning of our road. Get it a little darker. And then I'll blend that into the regular gray. And then I'm just going to switch back to my detail brush. And then I'll grab a little bit of white to get a really light gray. And I'll add that to the beginning of our road. So that's a little bit lighter in the beginning. So there. Now you have your basic shape of your road. We're going to take just a little short break to let this dry, because then we're going to go in and add the grasses and all that other stuff. So feel free to pause this video for a little bit and then unpause it once you're ready to start again. Guys, so now we're going to start working on, we're going to go back to our sky and do all of the stars and the moon really quick before working down into the horizon and all of the grass shapes. So I've got my detail brush here and we're going to start to do the stars. So I'm going to grab pure white. And I'm just going to add some dots onto my sky. So you can kind of make them smaller or larger, you can space them out or cluster them together. Whatever kind of stars you want to use for your night sky is up to you. You can add as many or as few of these as you want. I like to add a lot just because I like really starry skies, but that's just me. And then I'm going to start to add a little bit less as I come down to the lighter parts of our canvas, just so it looks like it's kind of fading into kind of a lighter sky. So once I've got my stars in my sky, we can just quickly do a little moon kind of in the upper right portion of our canvas. So I'm taking my detail brush still, I'm still using white, and we're just going to make a circle for our moon. So with everything else, I like to start small, because I can always make it bigger, but I can't always make it smaller. So I'm just going to kind of use my brush to start small and then kind of spiral out my shape until I like the size of it. There. I think that's a decent sized moon. So now that you've got the shape in there, I'm gonna go ahead and take some of that purple that we use for the sky. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of this into our moon to get some kind of dimension, variation, all that good stuff. So there is my moon. So now that this is done, we're gonna go down into our grass and start with those shapes. So I am gonna take my medium flat brush here, and we're basically just using the same colors we used for our grass when we first did it, but we're just gonna start to make some of these vertical strokes to get some texture in there. So I'm gonna start with that darker green that I used. I might add a little bit of more blue to that. What you're just gonna do is add some vertical strokes, maybe vary up the color a little bit to get some of that texture going on in there. And don't feel bad if you overlap your row just a little bit. Like that, it'll look like there's some grass growing up around it. So then the further I get down, the more I want to add some of that lighter colored grass. I'll start to add some regular green. I might go up into my darker green with this, kind of get some more of that texture. And you can absolutely switch between these colors if you want to get some kind of variation in your grass. Alright, once I get a little bit further down, I'm going to go ahead and wash off my brush. And then I'm going to grab that lighter green that we used, so that was some yellow, along with that green. And I'm going to do the same thing, add some of those vertical strokes up into those colors. Alright, and then one last shade I'm going to do for the grass is just pure yellow, just to get a little bit of lightness down there. Alright, so now that we've got our grass completely done, we can go ahead and go into the mountains. We'll let this all dry and then we'll work on again, the mountains and then the trees. So I'm going to take my medium round brush once more, and then I'm going to mix a similar color that we used for our sky, but I'm going to add just a little bit of white to it. So I've got a mix of blue and red that I used for the sky, but I'm just going to add a little bit of white to get it to be a lighter purple. I've got that color right here. Maybe I'll add a little bit more of the blue. But yeah, so that's red and blue and a little bit of white. And we're just going to use this color to create the mountains here in the background. Now you want to remember that we want to leave a space for our street, our road to kind of go through these mountains. So I'm going to start on one side and I'm just going to go up, make some kind of lumpy shapes with my brush, and then fill that in. And then I'll bring it down to my horizon line. Don't worry about it being too kind of straight and perfect with your horizon line, because we're going to go ahead and cover those up with trees in the end as well. Then I'll do the same thing on the other side. Start on the street, make some upwards curving lines, maybe make some more mountain shapes as I work my way to the other side of the canvas. And again, I will just fill those right in. Now that I've got my mountains in there, we're going to take another short little break just to let that dry before we go in and add the last step, which is our tree line in the background. So once your mountains and everything else is dry, we're gonna go in and add the trees in our background here. I'm gonna use my detail brush for this. We're gonna mix the same color that we used for the very dark color in our grass. So I've got still some of that color here, but if you need some more, again, that's green, blue, and black that you're mixing together, and I've got that right here. I'm just going to go in with my detail brush and start to make these trees. Now feel free to vary the shapes and sizes of these guys. You can see some of them just barely cover the horizon line, whereas some kind of go a little bit taller than the mountain. So it's up to you how big you want to make your trees, but we just have to make sure that they cover the space where the mountains and the grass meet. That is the only thing. So I'm going to start small. Make some tree lines. Maybe have some overlap the mountains on this side. And if you want to make them a little darker, I'm thinking mine need to be a little darker, so I'll add a little bit more black. Again. It's really just some kind of lines that go upwards. And some random shapes here. Again, I'll make some that overlap the mountains. And some that are really small. Once you've got the basic shape of your tree line in there, we want to go in and add a little bit of a highlight to those trees. So what I'm going to do is mix a little bit of green and yellow together here. So I've got a lighter green. And you're just going to kind of dab this on top of your trees, kind of following the shape of them and going in vertical strokes so they still look like trees. Just kind of building this color up. And since the other green is still a little wet, it might blend in your light, and you know, I kind of like it. I don't mind it, so I'm cool with it. If you don't want it to blend in, you can just wait for your painting to dry and then go in with this color. But this just kind of acts as a little bit of a highlight for those trees, just to make them stand out a little bit in some areas. Okay, and that is all I have for you guys today. The last kind of unofficial step is just to sign your paintings. So I'm gonna clean off my detail brush, and then any color will really work, but I find that black or white work the best. So I'm gonna take white, since I've got a relatively dark background. I'm just gonna put my initials in the bottom corner so that you know that this is your painting, guys. I hope that you're proud of what you did. This is a nice landscape painting, so hopefully you guys learned something and end up with a nice painting of your own in the process. So thanks for painting with me, guys. Hope you stay safe out there and join us again for some more painting.